Whom shall I fear? I could stand before you today and tell you that I fear nothing. But that would be a big fat lie. If I were to list my fears today, it would read something like this. Zombies. Taking a big gulp of clumpy sour milk in the morning. Creepy children in movies. And geese. Ducks are fine, but geese will run you down for no reason, and I just don't trust them. Rejection. Failure. Words from others that sting and slice. That voice in the back of my head that says, I'm not good enough. That I just don't measure up. What are your fears? Like we just heard in Psalm 27, the Psalms themselves speak a word that spans generations. The words are timeless, tapping into the very things that make us human, touching on our fears, anger, hurt, triumphs. The psalmist paints a picture of his attackers coming to devour his flesh. His enemies are described as bloodthirsty and belligerent. They're described as wild animals. There's a whole army camped up over the hill, plotting their next move against him. War is coming. Have you ever felt like that? Like the whole world and everyone in it are on a mission to ruin your life, to make you miserable, to ruin your plans, to take your dreams of a hopeful future and pulverize them. The world seems to be closing in on you, all your fears squeezing in around you. What do you do? When I was little, I had a very healthy imagination, which means I saw monsters everywhere. My room turned into a terrifying allotment of devious, dirty clothes monsters at night. So in the midst of these, at the time, very legitimate fears, there are several strategies for safety that I'm sure you all are aware of and you remember from your childhood days. First off, the run and jump approach. A straight sprint from the hallway to the bed, because if you're lightning fast, the monsters can't touch you. But once you're there, you have to be as still and quiet as possible and keep all your hands and feet under covers all the time like a Disneyland ride. Next, you have the guard dog approach. If I was really scared, I would negotiate for my dog to spend the night in my room and keep watch. If in the absence of a live canine, a stuffed version will also do the trick. Teddy bears have been doing a fine job for generations. There are several other techniques I'm sure you're aware of. The pillow barricade, the happy song approach. But perhaps the best of all is the nightlight. It's like kryptonite to bad dreams. Somehow, no matter how faint, if I could peer down the hall and see that tiny light glowing, I knew there was hope. Still a little darker than I would have liked, but all was not dark. The light was still on, and that was enough. Don't we do the same things today in the face of fear? The run and jump approach. If we just stay busy, if we just keep up with the daily grind, keep our heads down, keep moving, nothing can touch us. When things get tense, we try to be still and quiet as possible, just fly under the radar, just make it one more day. Or we barricade ourselves. Probably not with literal pillows and guard dogs, but maybe with money. If we just have enough in the bank, we can weather any storm. If we just have enough relationships, education, social status, whatever it may be, we pile it up around us and settle down, confident that nothing can touch us. The psalmist was confident. He has enemies out for blood and armies moving in, but instead of running for the hills, he talks of hope. He says his heart does not fear. He will stand triumphant over his enemies, high on a rock looking down on his fallen foes. In verse 5, he says God will shelter him in times of trouble. We could read this psalm today as a rallying cry of victory over those who try to hurt us. We could say if God is on our side, we are unstoppable, nothing can touch us. No one can hurt us. If we only believe, we will succeed. Nothing we do will go wrong. Nothing will hurt us. All is light and good in the world. And we might say amen. And we might feel good about that until we walk through those doors and realize we are not invincible. When things we've worked so hard for fall apart, when those we love leave us, when life doesn't seem like it will get any better, when we are betrayed, harassed, and threatened, when we are beaten, broken, and bruised, are we not hidden in our time of trouble? Why didn't God set us on a rock above our enemies, those who aim to hurt us? Why did he leave us within their reach? Has God turned away in anger? Has he abandoned us? Did he just forget? Why is there so much pain, so much heartache, and so much darkness? I don't know. I don't know. The words fear and faith sound similar in the Hebrew. It reinforces this idea of presenting the two as alternate ways of living. Those who live in fear and those who live in faith, a pattern that we see throughout the Psalms. A life of faith is not a life without darkness. It is not sugar-coated smooth sailing. A life of faith is not absent of pain. It is not void of suffering. A life of faith, instead, is marked by the presence of hope. Somehow, we must live in this tension that the life of faith, although marked by hope and free of fear, is not free of pain and suffering. In Psalm 27, we see the psalmist lean into that hope. He seeks after God's presence and clings to this goodness that he sees still at work in the world. In the midst of attack, in the middle of suffering, he chooses to live a life of faith filled with hope in the darkness. Sometimes hope is hard to see. A far-off flicker in a dark place, the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Do we trust that God is present among our pain? That goodness is still at work in the darkness? For among the pain, there is healing and reconciliation. There are kind words spoken. There are people being comforted, lives being changed. There is hope, however faint it seems in this crazy world. And it is a crazy world, isn't it? The tensions in Syria, our own government shut down this week. There are riots, racist, extremists, breathing out violence. Innocent people die, shot in streets, shopping malls, and schools. The darkness can be overwhelming. We feel defeated. People tear us down with the words. They slander us, dismiss us, ditch us, and diss us, abandon us, lie to our faces, and make us look like fools. When it feels like the whole world is dark and waiting to move against us, I just want to go back to bed. And so I do. I flop down, I sink in, and I pull the covers up around me. And I tell myself, I will not live in fear tonight. The Lord is my shepherd and my salvation. He is my stronghold of my life. Whom shall I fear? I will try to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And I take a breath. And I look down the hall. And I see a glimpse of goodness. A sliver of light glowing still. All is not dark. The light is still on.